Hi, lightblockmount here again, and this time I'm coming to you with a Bigfoot foot. Yes, this idea was another one of my sisters, and holy cow, this was such a chaotic build. The amount of times that I had to stop and start was insane because I had so many interruptions, and I actually, because of that, lost like the basement footage and like even some of the funny footage. Like I accidentally had my sim skinny dip and that kind of thing, and it was a time. But then I realized I wasn't recording and I was like, oh my god, Jesus. Also, you will hear my bird in the background, and honestly that'll probably be for every single one of my videos, so yeah, thanks. This build is actually special because I can show you kind of my technique for some of these really complicated roofs. Also, because this build is so long, I'm really sorry, but whenever I keep mentioning things, it goes by so fast, so the things I'm saying are not exactly matching up with what's going on screen, so I'm very sorry about that. So one of the things I do is I take a lot of little pieces, especially the octagonal pieces for kind of like the rounder edges, and you just have to use a ton of pieces, and then you take the kind of flat basic side thing and you put it on the sides to kind of connect the two little points. And actually this was really difficult, you can see here in the middle of the foot, because I had like 3 octagonal pieces that were just not lining up, and so I tried to, but then I was like, oh, you know what, it looks like the bones of the foot or whatever, it's fine, I can just leave it a little bit pointy. The thing I try to do is leave it so that there are no technical like crevices or like places where water would technically gather, so it's a bit more realistic. Also, because this is Bigfoot, I made the toes incredibly ugly and fungusy. I used that roofing from the werewolf pack. I love the build stuff from the werewolf pack. Like, it is some of my favorite stuff, which is why I kind of was really liking this build. And so the idea is that Bigfoot's foot is cut off, and so that's why I used a reference actually to try and make the realistic like bone placing and muscle placing, but then I couldn't get as much detail as I actually wanted, and so I made it a bit more cartoony. But yeah, and I used this type of hay roofing to make it seem like it was hairy. Everything I used on the outside, I tried to make it so that it was like sort of realistic, like make it look hairy, make it look fungusy, and kind of like it's been there for a while, you know, kind of dirty. And I was really wanting to use the wolf brick stuff, but then because I was using so much wood, I felt like it didn't fit, and so it took a while to figure out what windows to use and what wallpapers, especially because there are a lot of wooden wallpapers. And so the thing that I was debating was whether or not to make everything inside red, because I wanted it to be like a really realistic, well, one of the ideas was to make it realistic and like you're actually living in the foot, right? But then I kind of decided against it, and that I just wanted it to be like as homey and like used as possible. I went with more of the brown woods and tried to use everything that's as worn as possible, which, oh my gosh, they need to make more worn like windows and doors and just objects in general. Like, there are so many things that are like really pristine or like really modern, and I just like the werewolf pack is just a dream. And same with the farming one, you know which one I'm a cottage living, yes, because it has more of that stuff. But even in cottage living, like a lot of the stuff is really intricate and not as like run down as I would want. So yeah, I just really struggled with that kind of like run down but kind of basic aesthetic. But I do think I eventually got it. Oh, the other pack that actually really helped was the Sulani, the beach one, kind of surprisingly, because even though I don't usually like a lot of the wood colors that they have because they're really harsh or orange or like just too dark, like I don't know, the colors in there are just really off. But in this one, because I was kind of going a bit more orange but like also a little bit darker, it actually worked pretty well in for at least some of the items, some of the tables or things like that. I was kind of surprised how much of that I actually used. Also, I placed those like giant chandeliers, but later I switched them out for the kind of smaller ones because there's only like 2 types of chandeliers that are like this shape, and it pisses me off because I wanted this big chunky chandelier, but then because it has like these little swirls and stuff on it, and I was like, that is way too detailed for like what this is supposed to be, you know? So I switched it. But yeah, we really need better lighting for off the grid things. It is such an annoyance. Like I could only use like 2 or 3 different types of lights because of the style, because I realized that a lot of the off the grid stuff comes from vampires, and of course that is totally not the style that we're going for here. Another thing that actually really helped with finding enough items, at least for this build, is that because Bigfoot is oftentimes a bit more of a modern guy, or he's like a modern conspiracy, I guess, like not super crazy modern. I mean, people still believe in it today, right? But also it's within like the last like maybe 200 years ish, so that's a bit more modern. So initially I was trying to keep everything not modern and like as like hand built as possible kind of thing. But then I decided that, oh, you know what, technically, like if Bigfoot is living out there in the wild, there would be like remnants of, you know, civilization and that kind of thing. And so that allowed me to use a lot more of the camping stuff and a lot more kind of mixing this wood with like really bright colors, which you'll see later. Again, with the doors, it was really hard to find doors, but I used mostly arches, which was nice. I also made it so that the layout it's like somewhat open space, or what do you call that? Open floor plan, but then also partially not, especially upstairs. Oh my god. That thing is so crammed, like the angle is so small. It was really difficult to do the bedrooms up there, and especially because I wanted to fit so many Sims, because I wanted to make it like it's a wolf pack that's like living together and they are Bigfoot's descendants. Even though he's not a wolf, well, we don't really know what he is. But yeah, he's like, you know, an animal, human, something, so I figured it made sense. Yeah, but so the floor plan, personally, I am not a huge fan of like really open floor plans, and I don't know if that's just like because my house is not like a full open floor plan exactly. Like it does go in a circle, but my family home, you know, the one I grew up in, has arches that are like part of the walls that kind of make it an open concept, but it's not really like a full open concept, because I feel like in order to make something feel like a room, you do need some sort of enclosure, right? Like you need some sort of closing off of spaces to make it so that you can just get away from people. At least that's what I like, you know, an open floor concept. It's like that like very corporatized type of environment where, I don't know, it just makes me feel kind of icky personally. But so I figured, you know, this is not a super modern, I mean, I know I said it's like mixing modern and not modern, so hence the like, you know, you can run a circle through the house, but it's using these arches, except for the kitchen to the kind of like back entryway that is technically like an open concept. But yeah, so I also made this off the grid because, you know, Bigfoot's obviously off the grid, and I was trying to use a lot of mismatching furnitures, which was really fun. And honestly, I was a little bit surprised, but I used a lot of not just the get to work, like the detective stuff, but the Strangerville. I know a lot of people, so many people in so many things that I see hate the Strangerville, like everything about Strangerville, but I honestly use it so much. It's so great for a lot of these weird themed builds, and yeah, I love it. And also for like messy stuff too, you know, like kind of realistic but messy but odd. Yeah, it's honestly great. Oh, another thing you'll probably notice is I used those, like, I don't know if they're debug, but those mushroom stools, and I love those, but the idea is that, like, you know, fungus is growing in the toe and that, you know, there's water damage or whatever, so like the fungus has grown so big that you can just sit on it. And so I love that. I'm actually just realizing that I didn't use any different flooring in any of the rooms, like even the bathroom, but I did try to use some different wallpaper. Like I added that accent brick and like that in the bathroom and the kitchen, and then I ended up using that in the basement, and then I used like a slightly nicer wallpaper with like some trim for the dining room to make it like, oh, this is a little fancy. Not that, you know, werewolves are fancy, but, you know, like, a dining room's supposed to be, like, presentable, right? The other thing is, initially, I wasn't planning to build anything for kids specifically, but then I realized, like, oh, if this is a wolf pack, like, you're probably gonna have kids in here, so I did put some, like, toys and, like, kid activity things, and, like, the middle of the ankle, that floor, I made that for, like, 3 kids, so there's, like, a toddler bed and 2, I guess, like, teen beds, but I also forgot about the update, the growing together whatever, and so then I had to fit in like the crib, and then I had to fit in the changing table, and that was really a pain. I was like, I have not wanted like those kinds of items. It's like, I know you need it for that gameplay, but it is kind of frustrating. But yeah, I don't know, I haven't played it because it's so new and I've just been building, so let me know if you like it. And also, it is annoying, but I did, so the baby would sleep upstairs with the parents, but then the changing table is in the kids' room because that's all where I could fit it. So sorry about that. And then, oh, okay, so, shit. So here is where I lost a bunch of footage. I lost like 2 hours where I built the entire basement, and it's a dungeon, and it has a pool, like a swampy pool. You'll see flashes of it. And so the way that you get down to the basement is through a hidden door, which is like the hidden bookcase door, and into that from that hidden bookcase door, then it goes into this little office type room where you can like spy on people and do your science archaeology stuff and put all your collectibles and that kind of thing. And then from there is the entrance into the basement / dungeon, and where you can go into the wolf, whatever it's called. I don't know. It's like that thing where you can go visit the other wolves or something. I don't know. I haven't played with it, but it seems cool and I want to. One thing that I've been noticing with these weird ass builds is that the rooms always are really odd, but they're shaped in a way that like makes sense. And so it's kind of like, oh my gosh, wait, I kind of get why like certain parts of the foot look like this. I don't know. I put a ton of plants and greenery and that kind of thing because this is off the grid. Oh my god, off the grill? Off the grid, I figured planting and that kind of thing would be really big, but I actually didn't put the little difficulty thing that you can set in the housing. Oh my god, the little eye in the corner left, that menu where you can set like an initiative or goal or whatever. I didn't put that you had to grow your own food because I didn't want to make it as hard as kind of some of the other builds that I've made. Oh my gosh, but that makes me realize, oh yeah, so here's the basement. So I put all like this heavy lifting stuff so you can like work out in front of your prisoners and you can like swim in front of them and like make knives with the wood tools and candles to like light up. And I figured you could like do seances or something, although I didn't put the seance table down there. but I could have. Actually, I couldn't find it when I was looking. So back to the original point was that I well, okay, no, I do it kind of on purpose. I haven't been putting the fire alarm in these builds. I don't know, I figure more chaos the better, and also just because there's no oh wait, I guess they run on batteries. So maybe I should put it in here? I don't know. You can put it in. It's not in here. Sorry. It's really fast in this clip, but I made a little shrine with all the little dogs, and I thought that was just really cute. I don't know, I guess I just like making religious, cultural things because it helps build the story. The other thing with the basement, I wasn't originally going to put a basement, but then I was like, well, I wanted to use the little tunnel thing, and then also because of the conspiracy nature and also the little hidden room, I was like, come on, that, like, you have to have some sort of dungeon or weird thing going on here. And then also I figured, like, oh, a footprint, you know, it kind of sinks into the ground, and so at that point I was like, okay, I guess I got to. So one thing that's really interesting is definitely the decorating took the longest. Like, holy cow, I literally spent 5 hours. Like, I lost like 2 hours of footage, right? And this whole thing, well, I guess with including some of the pauses that I had, but even like with all the cuts and everything, this thing is like 17 hours worth of building. And so, oh wait, so then plus the 2 I lost, so 19 hours. So that's a lot more than my last one, but certainly not like the longest thing I've ever had, but still very fun. Yeah, and so the reason probably why it took so much time to decorate and stuff is because I figured in terms of like Bigfoot, like living in this kind of not prehistoric, old age to new age, we'll say. He's collected a lot of things, or maybe passed down a lot of things to his ancestors who are living in his foot, and they just have a lot of stuff and they collect, you know? And so that's why there's a ton of random stuff, especially in the bar area. And I do realize I ended up putting 2 bars because I had the bar inside, and then later you'll see I put like that bus bar. Then I realized I was looking when I was taking pictures that the bus bar is literally also across the street. So you get 2 bus bars, I guess, if you put it in the werewolf world. I forget what it's called. Maybe I did want to build it so that you could put it in another area, which is why I decided to leave the bus bar there. But then also I tried adding that sign that comes with the werewolf stuff. Then I decided, it's more for specific gameplay rather than more general gameplay. Oh yeah, oh my gosh. And so then I added like fungus between the toes. And I know like you're not really gonna see it that much, but I don't know, it was fun. I just like thinking about the fungus. And yeah, and then I also added like more vines and that kind of thing. But I didn't put them around the ankle because it really bugs me that you can't put vines and that kind of thing on the roof itself. And so then you can't make it so that it's actually growing to the top of the ankle, right? Because how else would the vine get there? Like, it can't grow through the roof and like not be able to see it, you know? So I didn't want to mess with that. I guess generally we do need more rooftop decorations because we have like satellites in the chimneys, but there's other stuff, actual wall space for things. Especially because these are like really tall walls here, except in that treasure room. I think I really filled that shit up. I also put that scouts board thing where your kids can participate in the scouts stuff, but I don't usually put that, and so I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect build for that, especially because, you know, you're outdoors and that kind of, well, you're not living outdoors, but the idea is outdoorsy. I also have, of course, never used it, so let me know if you like the scouts board. The kids' room was really difficult because you can barely see in there. It's so skinny, my gosh. But I think it'll be fun to play in. And the bathtubs, I used those like DIY looking ones. But as usual, I wish there were way more options. And I also figured like the bottom bathroom would be a bit of like a wet house kind of thing, which is why I used the open shower, the one from, I think it's University. And that's why I also put the mushroom stool in there, because I figured it's really wet. Oh, so these windows at the top, I also wanted to make it look like they were hair, if that makes sense, which is why I really like those Tulani windows that no one can ever find a use for, that they just kind of open and aren't like a full window. And so then the direction that the thing points out, it looks like a piece of hair is kind of out of place. For all the windows in general, I omitted the blinds because like they're in the woods technically, and so you wouldn't really need blinds. Okay, wait, no, but they are werewolves, so like I guess technically like they're beefing with the vampires, so it would make sense to have drapes, but oh well. Although I don't think they can actually see out the windows and react to anything outside, which would be interesting. I also don't know if you were able to catch this because I wasn't building it on screen because I, again, missed it. I made the toes in the basement the actual like cells. Oh, you saw, yeah, here they are. I put some cobwebs in there and I was gonna put a seat or bench in there, but then you couldn't even fit like the small bench because I wanted it so that you didn't have like a full bed in there, but you had something that they could nap on or whatever, but it didn't fit. And so I was like, okay, they're just gonna suffer, whoever you put in there, which I guess is a point. But oh, and then also I put that like window in between two of the toes so that the two people that are in those, like I figured you could have two lovers that are captured and they can talk to each other through the window, and like, you know, you can have this whole storyline and take really cool pictures, that kind of thing. I don't know. Oh yeah, so outside I used the fire pit. I think I haven't really built a fire pit before, but I played with mismatching a lot of stuff, and especially with the terrain paint, I feel like I did a pretty good job at like mixing. Like I tried to make it match to the surrounding area, even though it wouldn't match like to a different area. Man, I just love looking at it from the outside because you can just really see the foot. Like, it's kind of crazy. I do wish that I could have made it look hairier, but I don't know how I would have done that. Oh yeah, I tested some things because I did try to also use some of the terrain moving up and down, you know what I mean. Put some hills in there and that kind of thing. It didn't really work, and I hate how they can't walk on it. It's so annoying. I hate that stuff, but I always want to use it, but I never do because then it's like you can't use half the lot, you know? So I did it a little bit for like that one for the outside in the front, and then there's like some pine trees are kind of on a mound, yeah, and it kind of frames the fireplace thing. And I also did use some debug plants, those like that grass. I didn't try to keep the price down as much as other times that I have because I was just like, I'm so done with this. I just want it to look pretty and I don't care about spending time trying to keep the price down, because if you want this, you're gonna pay for it, okay? I don't mean like purchase with real money. I mean as in like this is the kind of thing that you cheat for. And I guess that's just how all my builds are going to be from now on. You can also see I forgot to change the season to summer so that you could actually see like the full color of the bushes and stuff. So whoops, they're brown. I do think the grass is actually brown though. I don't think it's the season thing, but actually in the world I'm not sure if it's a season thing. So oh, and I did put the dumpster there so you could dumpster dive. I thought that was fun because I figured that would be important for Bigfoot, who is gathering all that trash anyway to decorate the house, or Bigfoot's descendants, excuse me. Oh, I guess I didn't fully explain why they're even living in his foot. I figured it's some sort of weird ceremonial thing, you know, paying a homage to him, or some cultural thing that they have going on. I don't know. And oh, I also love the treehouse thing that they added. Like, that's so cool. That's exactly what I've wanted for such a long time. And so I didn't even put any of the kid toys or whatever other than that and the little tent outside. I almost actually put the grill outside, which I'm sure, or not outside, I meant in the basement. But then I was like, okay, I don't want to make people too mad with like burning down the house right after they put it in their game, you know? So I guess it was fine. I didn't put it in the basement for you. You're welcome. So that's the end of the video, and thank you for watching. Once again, I am lightblockmount, and I am lightblockmount on the gallery. And yeah, let me know if you download this or if you have any other suggestions. I'm also lightblockmount on other things like Reddit. Oh wait, or is it lightblockmount? I'm not sure. Just search both. I'm on Twitter as well. I made one for this. I am not good at Twitter, so my apologies. I usually don't use it, so this is really... I've made accounts in the past and then it wasn't my cup of tea, you know? But I also have been posting things on Reddit, just sim stuff. I don't post that often on that either. Yeah. But again, stay for another surprise!